Ladies and gentlemen, first I would like to thank The Economist for the opportunity to speak at this great event and to discuss how we can shape the business landscape in the digital era. Aurubis is a leading global copper producer and provider of non-ferrous metals. Our site in Bulgaria is our second largest location with almost 900 employees. We are the largest company in Bulgaria with a structural role for the country's economy and the largest copper producer in Southeastern Europe. Our sector provides many of the metals that make digitalization physically possible in the first place. And Aurubis has already put a lot of effort into our own digitalization. A great example is our digital factory, which saves resources and runs production more efficiently with concepts like predictive maintenance and AI-based production optimization. To be able to process all the data needed for this, we even bought an IT startup in 2020 called Aceti. We also established a digital innovation lab to further develop and digitize our business model in an agile approach in close cooperation with our customers and suppliers. Having said this, digitalization is never a standalone feature. At Aurubis, we see this as a means to an end, for more customer satisfaction, for better supplier management, for saving resources. Digitalization will also help us master another megatrend. It's a megatrend where the copper sector is at the heart of what is possibly the biggest endeavor the economy and society are currently facing: the decarbonization of industry. And in this regard, Europe has set an ambitious goal. It is determined to become the world's first carbon-neutral continent by 2050. This truly ambitious objective will require an unprecedented feat of strength from all of us, all industry sectors, society, and politics. Only by joining forces and by maintaining the dialogue can we make this transition an economically, ecologically, and socially just one. The metal industry is a crucial enabler for this process. I can speak here for the vast majority of European industry. We are highly committed. We are implementing new projects to decarbonize processes, getting closer and closer to carbon neutrality. Take Aurubis as an example. We are one of the cleanest copper smelters in the world. Compared to the global average, we emit only 40% of the CO2 emissions to produce 1 ton of copper here in Europe. Currently, we're even testing the use of hydrogen instead of natural gas in our Hamburg anode furnace, potentially saving more than 6,200 tons of CO2 per year there. If it's successful and affordable, we will likely roll out this technology to our site in Bulgaria as well. With this technology, the copper sector could save up to 1 million tons of CO2 per year worldwide. But we don't stop here. We put a 10 megawatt photovoltaic system into operation in Bulgaria. It is the largest solar plant for in-house electricity generation in the country. Our long-term goal for Bulgaria is to use in-house renewables for 20% of the electricity we need by 2030 and 50% by 2050. Starting in 2024, we want to expand our existing industrial heat project in Hamburg and deliver even more CO2-free energy to private homes. After completion, the project will prevent up to 100,000 tons of CO2 emissions each year. With the co-production of many other metals apart from copper, like silver, gold, tin, and nickel, we avoid over 3 million additional tons of CO2 that would be emitted if these metals were produced separately. Today, 45% of our copper cathodes already come from recycling material, so saving resources, energy, and CO2. Last but not least, last year, our plant in Bulgaria became one of the first copper smelters worldwide certified with the Copper Mark standard. The copper mark is the seal for sustainability in our industry that reflects the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We are in the process of implementing this standard for all smelters within our group of companies. We have set our milestones. We have put sustainability at the heart of our strategy, and we are committed to becoming carbon neutral well before 2050. But this will only be possible with the right parameters and a clear regulatory path. Furthermore, as a strong company, we can't carry all of the artificial local costs that our global competitors aren't facing. This calls for effective carbon leakage protection. We are at the start of many strategic value chains and are deeply rooted in several ecosystems, from batteries and mobility to electronics and construction. The Green Deal and the digital transformation will be highly metals intensive. But without political support, we will not be able to contribute to the EU's strategic autonomy. We can feel the increasing pressure from China. The COVID supply chain crisis and the latest developments in the magnesium market have proven this point. The pressure arising from the ever-increasing energy prices is probably the greatest risk for Europe. In particular, the current price level will prevent further development and important investments. Therefore, we need a level playing field when it comes to green energy prices, access to raw materials, and ESG standards. Otherwise, we will not be able to uphold the EU's industrial leadership in sustainable production of green technologies. Our focus should be on the most effective and feasible tools to help transform energy-intensive companies. For example, we don't need an unpredictable EU carbon border adjustment mechanism, which will not work for the copper sector. The CBAM, as it's called, would leave EU producers exposed to full CO2 costs, while global producers would only be required to pay CO2 costs for the share of their products imported to Europe. CBAM would not protect our sector, which is a price taker on global markets. It would reduce our global competitiveness. Therefore, we need to preserve adequate free allocation and indirect cost compensation under the ETS framework. And we need to enable industry to invest in low carbon technologies with the help of carbon contracts for difference, to name one example. We also need a functioning, sustainable finance taxonomy, actually rewarding the front runners in their sectors and not making our task even more difficult. For all of this, we need to work together to accomplish the unprecedented transformation ahead of us. The copper industry causes less than 1% of global CO2 emissions. However, the global greenhouse gas savings potential from copper-enabled technology is 75%. If we show that the market for sustainable industrial production is possible under ambitious standards, other regions of the world will want to follow and adopt these high standards. Thank you for your attention.